Hello, everybody. Welcome to This Is Why I'm Not Invited. This is going to be episode 5. My name is Nova Nebula, and today we're going to talk about a dungeon. My dungeon, to be specific. So, I run a dungeon, and it's not necessarily as glamorous as everyone thinks. I wish that it was latex and leather every single day. But unfortunately, a lot of the times, it's a combination of misplaced expectations, spreadsheets, and people trying to bring things through the door that they shouldn't. Either way, no matter what happens, I absolutely love the dungeon that I run and the dungeon that I created. At this point in time, a lot of people tend to ask me, why did I open my own dungeon? To be utterly and completely honest, a lot of the places around me and near me literally sucked. Between consent violations and too many backgrounds that are basically like a really knockoff brand of a bad horror movie, things tucked away quietly behind curtains that should absolutely be brought forth to light, but due to management, people in charge, and owners, all of the misdoings of the people in that setting, including the owners, they were basically the problems themselves. When ownership themselves are the problem, who are people supposed to go to complain? How are you going to have any kind of real change when the people in power are the predators? One of the things that bothers me the most in the scene is basically the complicity of it all. I will never understand how we as an alternative lifestyle, BDSM, etc., are so consent driven, yet when violations occur, a lot of people just stay quiet. They can essentially shrug it off, and some people even call this type of abuse a scene. Not for me. I wanted safe. I wanted chaos that I could control. I did not outright start a dungeon per se. I rented and worked with local venues to basically have a particular night where I would do my events. I would also do Airbnbs within reason, and if possible, I would rent houses by word of mouth of people in the lifestyle that were willing to rent. I even rented hotel suites for my events until I got too big for those settings. The last time I rented a lifestyler's house, they were upset that I had 88 people in their home, despite the fact that I told them I was probably going to have about 100 people. Earlier this year, an opportunity arose for me to essentially rent a venue in a county that's super close to me, and I jumped at the opportunity. Again, I have outgrown the traditional setting, and paying somebody else thousands of dollars to rent for a single night is just something that I cannot afford to do. I wish that I could, absolutely wish that I could, but there's no way that I can do that consistently and have a good time. I really have to say that being able to leave my stuff in a single location is more pleasurable than anyone can even imagine. A lot of my toys have been custom made, and in being custom made, one of the requirements or prerequisites about my toys is that essentially they be portable. When I mean toys, I don't just mean my floggers, my canes, things like that. I'm talking about my custom-made BDSM furniture. Yeah, I went there. I have actually purchased and owned my own furniture for years, and moving those things back and forth is a huge hassle. Tearing them down, placing them up, moving them in and out, up and down stairs. I got some of the best workouts of my life, but I was also really exhausted, and I've definitely fallen with a few of my furniture pieces downstairs and up curbs, but we're not talking about that today. So yeah, I finally have a permanent home for now, although I am relocating at the end of the month, which is great. Honestly, great news. That's another story for a different day. Let's talk about my first day here. It was new. It's definitely big. I had to learn how to place things, and I found a flow that works for me. I've actually been hosting events since 2019 and have grown over that time, so I have quite a few years of experience. With that being said, I did not open a dungeon because I thought it was going to make me rich. It's not because I want to be popular. It's because I myself have been to a few places that have called themselves quote unquote dungeons that were literally what felt to me like death traps. After being in the scene for so long, I realized that a lot of people would just get different types of BDSM furniture, throw it in a bedroom or a house, and then call it a dungeon. And with those kind of standards, it made things slippery and potentially dangerous. I love a good party, just like anybody else. I love parties. I myself am super social. But when you start talking about throwing lifestyle parties, things like BDSM and having BDSM furniture and equipment available, that's a whole nother ballgame. And it's a lot of responsibility to ensure that everybody is safe. Unfortunately, some of these places were throwing these types of events, but not having any safety measures or safety nets in place. I have definitely had lots of positive experiences at different dungeons and venues in my area, so I feel like I'm pretty well equipped to understand safety and safety measures, and I can recognize the differences between an actual dungeon and a dungeon setting versus a house party with people trying to do a money grab. Because I've seen so many places throw events and throw them badly, and I've also had a personal bad experience at a couple of different dungeons in the area, I decided that if you're going to do something right, you have to do it yourself. So I did. I did it myself. I started hosting and throwing my own events. I set my code of conduct, my standards. I am very focused on consent and consent culture. I took all of my previous experiences basically over the last 5 years and applied them here. One of the things that I was not prepared for, honestly, was the level of paperwork. Yeah, I'm used to telling people what to do, giving them direction, things like that. I was not prepared for the amount of spreadsheets that I had to make and all the things that I had to create for my dungeon. I learned a lot about leasing. I learned a lot about basically how certain places are zoned and how they pay for the variety of services like utilities and garbage. Either way, I honestly did not think that owning my own venue would require so much like Excel and spreadsheets. Needless to say, I was not ready for this. Well, at least the paper side. One of the other things that I was completely unprepared for was the amount of politics that actually goes into BDSM and alternative lifestyles. I think it's like the dumbest thing ever, but it's actually a really huge thing, and I honestly find it unnecessary. The amount of gossip that occurs in kink spaces are wild, and the biggest thing for me at the end of the day was that I was trying to create a safe space. Unfortunately for me, one of my new jobs became sifting through all of this gossip and finding out who was safe and who was unsafe and creating a ban list. It's a lot more work than you think it is to find out the main reason somebody was actually removed from another dungeon or another venue. Despite how much work it is, it's absolutely worth it because my biggest thing for my venue is keeping everybody safe. In the past couple of episodes, you were told why certain people were banned, but there's a lot more reasons why people are banned than just the few that I've talked about. Whenever a particular person presents a clear, present danger to other people physically, or they've actually physically harmed previous people, absolutely not allowed. One of the things that was difficult here is that a lot of people don't like other people, which obviously happens, it's a part of life, right? But simply removing somebody from the space because they cheated, that's a whole nother issue. I'm not in control of other people's lives, and I'm not trying to delve into people's personal relationships. It only becomes a problem when it comes into the venue and then things get messy. Once those things start to get messy and personal drama is brought through the door, that's when bans can essentially occur. I swear, sometimes I feel like I'm back in high school with all the bullshit and back and forth and, oh, I don't like them because of this. They took my business idea. The list goes on and on. Those are the type of things that are not going to get you banned from my events or from my venue. I'm only here to essentially ensure the safety of people and protect them from people that have consent violations, physically assaulted other people, things of that sort. I've been around in the scene long enough to see places like this that nitpick and do clicks, and it doesn't work well. I mean, it's really good to have consistent people that come to your venue and have a consistent crowd, but it becomes a bad thing when you just have clicks. It's totally fine to have friendships and build friendships and see people consistently, but it's bad when you start basically making everyone that's new feel like an outcast. Even though I am a rack player, I want to provide safe, sane, and consensual spaces and a space where everyone else can come, feel welcome, make friends, and have scenes. It has definitely been a very different type of journey than I thought it was, but I wouldn't have it any other day. Whenever I have a good night, which is a lot more common than not, it's magic. Everything works well. Everyone's having a great time. Everybody's screaming, but in the good way. People are connecting. People feel embraced and open to sharing the parts of them that the vanilla world cannot see. And I love that. That's why I run a dungeon. It's not easy. It's not glamorous, but it's mine. And I love it for what it is and what it's becoming. Thank you for tuning in. I would love to stay and chat more, but I actually have an event to run. Take care, be safe, and I'll see you on Sunday.